like putting our hero in a position of kill or be killed, only to in the end show mercy and compassion and empathy for other sentient life. That's a like Star Trek tale as old as time.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy these stories. It's a great way to say, like, yes, we are flawed as people, as a species.
But right down to the wire, we're not
There are
as
some
bad.
redeeming qualities. Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And that the redeeming qualities may one day lead us to overcome our failings.
But we're not there yet.
No,
it's basically
we're not there yet.
What they keep proving over and over and over and over again is we ain't there yet.
Perhaps I could use this as an excuse to go to those far-off planets with little polka-dotted people if necessary, and be able to talk about love, war, nature, God, sex, all those things that go to make up the excitement of the human condition.
I'm Captain James Kirk.
Spock.
Your move, Captain.
Jim Kirk of the Enterprise.
What's going on?
I'm James Kirk. These people are my friends and my shipmates. Leave my crew alone.
Out of the question.
How about that?
James Kirk.
It fits like a glove, Captain.
Oh, the bonehead ideas.
Gentlemen, I'm Captain James Kirk. Get out of my chair. Get out of it now.
My greetings and felicitations, Captain. So good of you and your officers to, drop in. Absolutely smashing.
Joe on True, everyone, and welcome to Humanist Trek. It's a Star Trek podcast about the humanism in Star Trek. I'm Sarah Ray.
And I'm Allie Ashmead.
And you're getting ready for the cruise.
I'm
so
excited.
jealous.
It's beginning to be real because I got in the mail. I got the mission orders, which is a booklet that basically has the ship itinerary, but it's in all Star Trek. Trekkie
that's
mission
cool.
orders thing. It's really cool. And I'm like, oh my God, it's real. And I've got 2 months and I'm like, oh no, I'm fat. I'm going on a cruise and, the end of the year, everybody just eats like an asshole. And then, and then January, hey, let's lose some weight as a New Year's resolution. But yeah, I got on the scale after, avoiding it for like a year after the move here. And I gained 20 pounds. So I'm like, okay, I got to get this off.
I'm afraid to step on the scale. I don't.
Yeah. Well, that's why I avoided it. So
I don't want to know. And every time I go to the doctor, they tell me I'm pre-diabetic. So
yeah, and it is really health that's motivating me to lose some weight, just because I want to look good on the cruise, but
right.
I want to lose some weight. I'll be turning 50 this year, and I don't want to. I want to be a hot grandma.
There you go. Hell yeah.
But I'm excited.
I think there's a category on Pornhub for that.
Hot grandma? Oh, okay. You might see me on there. Just kidding. Just kidding.
No, you got to OnlyFans that shit. You got to pay me for that.
I'm only on OnlyFans. Again, kidding. Totally kidding. Unless you want to pay. But anyway, I'm super excited because I'm now, planning all of the different costumes. I'm probably not going to have a costume for every night, but I definitely want to try because there's like the pajama party, there's the Q's ball, there's the Admiral's dinner.
That's so cool.
There's a bunch of other things, so I want to make sure I have something for each one of those nights. It's like an 8-day cruise. So I think I'll probably be sick and tired and ready to get off by the end, but I think I'm going to have a lot of fun, and everyone's that's going, we've all got these chat groups and everybody's, there's people who are going solo, there's people over 50, there's, all these different groups, there's some group for everyone.
Okay, this is too fucking cool. I pulled up the website. So these theme nights, you have Knights of the Holodeck.
Yes. Which I think that's the one I'm going to go as a Klingon female warrior. And then planning out my costume for that. And
nice.
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Then the next one is Gorn's pajama party.
I've got pajamas that say Starfleet. And then I've also got a robe that is red with the Star thing emblem on it.
Nice.
So, and cool. I'll have to find some like socks and some slippers to walk around in.
Yeah. The next one is Q's costume party.
Don't know what I'm going to do for that one.
And then you have the Captain's Gala,
which I have ordered and I hope it gets here in time. Strange New Worlds, the yellow, kind of like number one's uniform. It's like a very long shirt.
Yep.
So that's what I'll do with that one.
Nice.
I think.
And then the Bajoran Gratitude Festival.
I don't know what I'm going to do with that one. I'm like, what would...
At the very least, you need to get you one of them Bajoran earrings
With
the chain that goes up to your... Yeah.
I could try, but then what do I wear? I have no clue what to wear. Is it something sexy? Because are they like?
Here, let me read it. Because I'm thinking Bajor. I'm thinking like the
slave girl,
like that burnt orange jumpsuit thing that Kira wore. You know, it was like a brownish orange jumpsuit.
I don't know. Was it like sexy? Are they
No,
like
not
super
at all.
sexy,
No.
like half naked people? I don't know.
It's tight and form fitting, yes.
Okay.
But what isn't on Star Trek?
Okay. I'll have to look. Okay.
It says, we're grateful to be celebrating 30 years of Deep Space Nine with many of the series stars joining us on Star Trek The Cruise. Come one, come all to our very own DS9 Promenade Party to jot down your worries, woes, and concerns on a renewal scroll and burn away your problems in the flame of the fire pit. I do remember that from DS9.
Yep.
All
right. I'm going to have to work on that one. I don't know what to wear. I have to do some Googling.
Yeah. And then the last one is The Trekking Dead.
Oh, that's a zombie one.
Yeah.
Which I think I do have.
Interestingly, I'm not a zombie theme kind of person. Like, I don't like all of the movies that are out on TV shows and stuff like that. That zombie apocalypse stuff just doesn't appeal to me as a topic. But they presented it in a Borg assimilation type of way rather than zombie. And
that's cool.
That I get. So it says the world of Star Trek is filled with scary situations and horrifying aliens. And isn't it time for the red shirts to rise from their graves for revenge?
That's awesome.
From Borg assimilations to encounters with species 8472, on this night we will celebrate the darker side of Trek with a zombie red shirt pub crawl, scare zone on the Royal Promenade.
Oh, shit.
And culminating with a party sure to wake the dead.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be fun.
It's going to be so much fun. Well, I was going to ask you, if you have something that you want me to have signed, let me know. I'll take it with me.
Cool.
And tell me who you want to sign it. I've just heard that Captain Janeway, she's not going to be there. She was going to be there, but she had a conflict, so she's not going to be there.
There's a whole big list, too, of like listed under this William Shatner, Jonathan Frakes, Brent Spiner, Marina Sirtis, Denise Crosby, John Delancey. Oh,
John Delancey. Nana Visitor is also going to be there.
Yep.
Somebody from Lower Decks is going to come
Tawny Newsome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Michelle Hurd. Oh, there's just so Doug Jones. You're gonna get to see Doug Jones.
Oh my God! You want me to sign? You want me to have him sign something? I will totally. I don't know.
I'll have to think.
I'll get a picture.
Yeah.
And then next year, I really would like for you and Becca to go with me.
Yeah.
So please, please,
I would
go.
love that. That would be so much fun. All right. Well, enough daydreaming.
Yeah.
What the hell episode are we doing today?
Yeah. What's the point of this?
All right. It's Star Trek: The Original Series, Season 1, Episode 19, Arena.
Sir, contact with an object. It's moving toward us.
No visual contact yet.
Reflectors, full intensity.
Mr. Sulu, yes, Captain. Anything on your scanners?
It's coming at light speed.
Collision course. Visual contact.
Anything, over?
All wavelengths dominated by ionization effects, sir.
All engines full stop.
Kirk and McCoy are chatting in the transporter room, preparing to beam down to Cestus 3 and meet with Commodore Travers, who apparently sets a good table. And Travers radios up and asks Kirk to bring tactical people because he's got an interesting problem for them. Spock thinks this whole thing is odd, but Kirk just brushes it off as, well, the colony is so isolated and out here away from everybody. McCoy's just hungry.
Yeah, he's like, I hope he brings his personal chef.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, and of course, Kirk's like, well, rank has its privileges. And then I don't know if you cringed, I cringed when McCoy says, he laughs and he says, well, how well we both know that. Hardy, har.
Right.
I cringed and I'm like, why am I feeling this way?
Mm-hmm.
It was like that good old boy kind of.
Yep. It was like, oh, as men in power, don't we have some things we can do and get away with?
Yeah. I hate it. That's exactly.
McCoy's just, looking forward to a good home-cooked meal, for which Spock calls him a sensualist. And McCoy replies, you bet your pointed ears I am.
Hey, we start out with a racist comment.
God. I think that's the first time of many that we have heard, you bet your pointed ears. We have a full transporter pad here, KSM plus some new UCs.
O'Herlihy.
O'Herlihy,
Kelowitz
and Lang. Scotty energizes and they materialize not to be welcomed by the hospitable Commodore, but by a bombed out Cestus 3.
Scorch marks all over the ground. And O'Herlihy is the only one wearing a red shirt.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We're like damn near, we're past the halfway point in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And we still haven't established the red shirt as the red shirt that we know and love. Like, I'm surprised that it hasn't being such a thing.
It's not definitive yet. Not yet.
Yeah. I wonder when that happens. After the theme, the away team takes cover and Kirk sends Kelowitz and Lang to scout. So, they'll probably die soon. It turns out that
go look for survivors.
Turns out those messages were faked somehow. The outpost was destroyed days ago. Spock picks up some readings not far away and they find a survivor with shock, radiation burns, internal injuries. And Spock picks up another life reading, not a survivor this time, not a human, not warm-blooded.
Yeah, he's like, it's a cold-blooded creature, definitely not human, still can't see them though. Somewhere over there somewhere.
And Kirk's like, hey, O'Herlihy, if you could walk about 20 yards that way to maybe get a better look at whatever this thing is.
Yeah, we'll stay here and you take one for the team.
And sure enough, he gets up and walks forward a little bit, turns bright red.
And gone.
And yoink.
Oh my God! They've killed
Herlihy.
you bastards!
His last words were, Captain, I see something.
Oh, that's a great idea. What would you want your last words to be as you're being shot by some alien life form?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's something. Let me think about that.
Yeah, we'll have to come back to that. Bombs start dropping on him, and Kirk StarTACs up to Sulu to beam them up, but Sulu's got his own problems. They're under attack too. Not another mention of O'Herlihy at all. By the way.
No, it was like they didn't even acknowledge. They didn't even say, "Oh man, that's too bad."
No.
Nothing. I was like,
And
"Wow."
Not even begging Spock to bury him.
Right.
No, not that there was much him.
Not even a ceremony. But you're right. They didn't give a shit.
Nah.
A flying shit. Interesting.
There's some canon established here, I think. I don't know that we've really gotten it this clearly before. The Enterprise can't use transporters while they call them the defensive screens that eventually become shields. While the screens are up, they can't transport through the screens. And Kirk's not willing to put the Enterprise at risk to beam them up. Apparently, Spock's been here before or studied the layout or something.
Yeah,
because
he knows where the armory is.
Yeah, there's this arsenal nearby, and he knows right where it is.
Right.
So Kirk does some zigzag serpentine across the open field.
Stop, drop, and roll, and some, creeping along the. What do you call that when you're sliding on your stomach?
It's like an army crawl or something?
Yeah, the army crawl.
And then there's this big blast, and it knocks Kirk. This was some fun stunt work in this scene. Because there's like that flip. He gets blown, and he does a roll.
Yep.
That was really cool.
Yep. And did you notice like the sound effects of the bombs?
Mm-hmm.
But it reminds me like of the World War II movies. Like, like a the whistle before the explosion. Like what?
Yes.
And not like laser. Pew 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 pew. Not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like actual shells.
I would expect to hear lasers and some kind of instead of World War II artillery.
Sulu checks in. There's still no ID on the alien vessel. And again, I have this issue. He says they're too far away for visuals, but apparently they're not too far away to lock on their weapons.
Right.
Also, Kirk does some bad manager shit in this episode. Earlier, he had said something about it, like, it's my ship and I need to be there for it, right?
Yeah.
Despite Spock's reminder that Sulu is a highly capable officer. So, Kirk fucking phones it in and starts running the business remotely.
Yeah, he's
giving Sulu orders to do this and that.
Yeah, use the photon torpedoes and stuff like that, and let him
listen.
He's the one sitting at the helm at the moment.
Yeah,
and
here is some leadership advice from my Disney training. As a people leader, trust your fucking team to do what they do. Sulu, hang in there, buddy. Call me if you need anything.
Yeah.
Sulu pops off some torpedoes and suddenly communications cut out. So Kirk does another serpentine run across the field, dodging explosions.
Yep.
More fun stunt work. And he flips open his StarTAC again, and he's like,
Can you hear me now?
and he tells Sulu to do whatever is necessary to protect the ship.
Yep.
Even if it means warping away, leaving the team behind, which he ultimately decides to do. Kirk reaches the Arsenal building, and we check back in on Spock and McCoy and their patient. He'll be dead in half an hour if they don't get him to a medical facility fast, and there's only 42 minutes left in the episode.
Right.
Spock detects this other life form is moving now, and his stunt guy gets to do some flips and rolls across the field.
Because he's going to go after Captain Kirk to make sure he's okay.
Yep, Spock's figured out that the enemy has locked onto his tricorder. Somehow, they created a feedback loop, and so he like chucks it across the field and it blows up.
That was weird.
Yeah.
It's literally, so his tricorder, it's like one of those old tape recorders. We all had one. We all had one in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And I say tape recorder meaning cassette tape recorder.
The kids won't know. Kirk's got a little mortar set up with a handful of shells, and he calls for Lang, but Kelowitz shows up and says,
"They got Lang, sir."
Oh my God! They've killed
Lang.
you, bastards!
And I don't think they never saw them really. At this point, we've not seen the enemy at all.
Right.
We haven't seen their ship.
Right.
We also haven't seen an actual physical body.
So Kelowitz suggests this enemy is probably up on the high ground to the right and just eyeballs the azimuth to aim the mortar thing at. They all take cover as Kirk drops in a shell. I was expecting, again, like to your point earlier, a much more technological sort of weapon explosion thing.
They got phasers. So why not have like some kind of phaser torpedo or something instead of like a...
Well, like
basically,
fine. You drop the ball into the thing and it shoots it out. It could still have like a technological effect when it hits.
Yeah.
Like a zaps or zooms or something.
Or EMP or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. This was more like a phase grenade or something. It like lit the sky up. And it was at about this point too that I was like, hold on. I thought I remembered this episode. I don't remember this being in this episode.
I did not.
I remember this, but I don't remember it being this episode.
Yeah, because I don't remember this being how they ended up encountering the...
No, I'm like, why aren't we chasing a lizard around the desert yet?
Right.
Like, where's that? That's the episode. Yeah. This could have been, like, to me, this was a whole different episode.
It could have easily been.
I don't remember it being this way at all.
Yeah.
Sulu radios in that the alien ship has stopped firing, so screens down, they can beam up, and Kirk orders they leave behind a search party of 30 medical officers to search for survivors.
Yeah, because they think I think they think that there's no more enemy on the...
Right.
There was only one ship left or whatever.
Or whatever it was.
And so they scared it off.
Back on the Enterprise, they're chasing after the alien ship, which is heading towards some unexplored space. And KSM are in sickbay talking with their survivor. And this lieutenant has like bits of sliced ham laid all over
I know.
his face.
I don't know did they have latex back then?
Sure.
So it was a terrible burn scar looking thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it.
It's supposed to look like radiation burn or something, but it sure looked like slices of ham.
Yeah, it does look. And as someone who's done their own like facial makeup, like I don't know what they used because that looks terrible. So
he gets pretty upset recounting the attack on the outpost, understandably. Whatever it was came out of nowhere and attacked. There were women and children. And that's a phrase generally that I dislike too, because they always say it as like women and children because what they mean is like, oh, the poor, helpless, vulnerable women and children who can't fend for themselves or whatever. Not us men, though. Don't worry about us big, strong, manly men.
Take pity on the weak, the weaker.
The weak, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kirk assumes that the fake radio calls were the setup to the trap because this enemy knows that the Enterprise is the only protection in the area. So if you take out the Enterprise, then like this whole area of space is fair game. So he thinks it's a prelude to invasion. Spock is the voice of reason always, and he tries to point out like there are other possibilities. It may not just be like invasion. It could be a whole bunch of other things. And Kirk's like, nope. I've made up my mind.
I'm mad and
I've chose my confirmation bias.
Yep. Damn it.
rather than listen to the scientific approach.
And not to mention the person who is usually 99% right.
Mm-hmm.
He's always right. So he orders the ship to battle stations, red alert. I repeat, this is not a drill. This is not a drill.
So the plan is speed up, overtake the alien ship, and start shooting. Spock reports that there's really not much known about this area of space. Lots of rumors and legends, but nothing confirmed.
He says there are space legends. No records of any exploration, and there's rumors of strange signals on subspace channels, but nothing's been recorded, so it's like
ghost stories.
Space legend.
The alien has sped up now, too, forcing the Enterprise to warp 7 to keep their speed faster. And I didn't remember any of this from Star Trek history class at all. They make a big deal out of warp 7 being dangerous to maintain for a very long time. And Scotty's even like, well, we'll either catch him or we'll blow ourselves to bits, laddie. So warp 7, huh? That's interesting. I didn't realize that was even a thing.
Yeah.
Because, again, I'm a TNG kid, so, like, warp 9 was kind of a maximum.
Yeah. And Spock is still arguing against destroying the enemy based on, he's like, we got to have respect for sentient life. But Kirk's like, no, we're the only police in the area. And basically they've done something wrong. A crime's been committed and the perpetrators must be punished. And the word police is interesting here.
It was an interesting choice.
And he said there's no time for the regard for sentient life right now. There's no time.
Yeah. I like this sort of a continuous revisiting of themes like this. So, Spock's kind of playing the pacifist here. Like, look, maybe we don't have to destroy them. Maybe just chasing them is enough to scare them off. And then we kind of have that justice and vengeance conversation again, right? Like, Kirk's fucking pissed that Cestus 3 was destroyed, and he's going to punish these people for it.
He's the police. He's got all that. He's the police. He's got all that adrenaline, and he's going to shoot some black kid.
Yeah.
And of course, Spock takes the emotion out of it. So that's why he will always be the most fair.
Yeah.
It's because he does take the emotion out.
And when he points out, like, again, mirroring a conversation we've had in a previous episode, Spock's like, right, but you destroying that alien, Captain Ahab, isn't going to do anything for the people who are already dead.
Right.
Like, this is about you.
But it's going to make him feel better.
Exactly.
Or,
so I love that Trek, like, keeps revisiting themes like that.
Yeah.
And poke it with a stick again, see if we've learned anything yet.
Yeah.
In the end, Kirk pulls rank and shuts the discussion down. This policeman bullshit.
Yeah.
And the alien ship has matched speed now, warp 7. So Kirk orders warp 8, and we get reaction shots around the bridge. As
everybody's like and look, this is classic Spaceballs to me. Remember the scene where Darth Helmet was getting ready to chase Lone Star, and barf, suddenly they jump away. And then Darth Helmet has a tantrum.
Prepare ship for light speed. No. Light speed is too slow. Light speed too slow? Yes, we're going to have to go right to ludicrous speed. Ludicrous speed.
And I was like, this is Spaceballs.
Oh, I love it.
And eventually they go so fast that they end up going to Plaid. We're going to Plaid. Oh.
After a brief space interstitial, Sulu smiles and announces they're closing in on a target, but there's also an uncharted solar system ahead. And there's a conversation about like, oh, the alien isn't moving toward it, but away. And Uhura reports they're being scanned, not by the alien ship, but from the solar system. So suddenly the alien ship drops out of warp, full stop, and it just sits there dead in space. And Kirk's like, get him!
Let's kill him. Let's shoot him let's shoot him in the back.
And to ensure this, he puts phasers under computer control. Just as they're closing in, the ship lurches, throwing everybody across the bridge.
Oh, I love the jerk.
Up against the walls.
They got to do the jerk.
Enterprise drops out of warp 2. Some reports around the ship, no damage, but engines and weapons are offline. And Spock explains that they're being held in place by an unidentifiable power.
Uhura did say, they're being scanned. There was no hostility or no tractor beam or weapons, but just like more curiosity. They're just being a really, really thorough scan.
Mm-hmm.
So
some lights start flashing, and on the screen there's a visualization. Do you remember Winamp?
Oh, it really kicks the llama's ass. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Windows Media Player did this
When
too.
did the
visualizations, right? That's what the screen reminded me of.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Woo, we're pulling some shit out of our
deep
brains.
cut, kids.
Yeah. Wow.
Winamp was the best media player
it
ever.
was.
I used to make skins. You remember you could change the skins?
Yes.
And I was just like at the beginning of learning how to use graphic editing.
I might have an old computer. I wouldn't make them. I would just choose from a library.
Yeah. I designed them.
Oh,
I like,
dang.
yeah.
But man,
that was back in the
a
day.
good times. Good times.
Anyway, these are the Metrons, and they're even more pacifist than Spock, or they say they are, because they've done some scanning and learned that humans' violent tendencies are inherent, and apparently this aliens are too. And they're not having any of that. They're going to provide a planet and take Captain Kirk and Captain Sleestack to this planet and to settle their dispute, give them translator devices, and hopefully when it's done, none of you fuckers will ever come near our solar system again.
Right. And then this is where the Metrons identify that the other ship is the Gorn.
Mm-hmm.
So the Gorn ship. So this is where we first hear the name of the species. And the whole time I was like, you know, like the kid with the corn kid?
Yeah.
I was singing like, it's Gorn. A big lump of knobs. It has the juice. So bad. I'm so sorry.
Well, there's something else that sat wrong with me in the setup to this.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Metrons talked about creating a scenario to help resolve their conflict.
But all they did was...
Your puny little minds would be able to handle. And what they came up with was a planet with various bits and bobs that you can turn into weapons.
Right. Like...
I get it. It's OG Trek, and we got to have some sweaty Shatner Star Trek fighting because hashtag wagon train to the stars or whatever. But this should have been a diplomatic meeting mediated by the Metrons.
Yeah. If they were so against violence, then why give them violence?
Yes, and that's the solution.
It's the kind of like, you know, your parents, if your brother and sister are arguing and your parents are like, okay, go outside and beat the crap out of each other. You know, that's kind of... That doesn't really solve anything.
No. and furthermore, the Metrons say that they'll basically battle to the death, and the winner will be allowed to go on their merry way, while the loser will have their ship destroyed in the interest of peace. In the interest of peace, you're going to let the killer go.
Right.
The guy who won.
Right.
At killing.
It doesn't, it's opposite of what they're fucking saying.
Who thought this was a good idea?
No. I think maybe it was 1960s way of trying to be moral. It's the opposite of moral.
Then Kirk blinks off the bridge, and Uhura does this horror movie scream.
Like, she didn't scream when on the last episode.
No! No, we've had 5 episodes so far where somebody's just blinked off the bridge.
I know, and then suddenly now she wants to scream. But yeah, I know, right?
Cut to a close-up on a Sleestack growling. Now, this is a monster of the week right here.
This is when we finally get to see the Gorn.
The Gorn!
Maybe it's a Sleestack.
This Sleestack looking ass.
This fucker even has moving eyelids, though.
Does he?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I noticed.
I thought that was cool.
I didn't notice the eyelids. I noticed the jewel eyes. His eyes were like jewels.
Yeah.
But
there are eyelids that close. It's cheesy, and it's the big fucking latex suit.
Yeah.
It's cheesy, and
the sounds were cracking me up. The sounds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what that sound was. It was awful.
Captains Kirk and Sleestack are alone on planet California's Vasquez Rock Park.
Yeah, you know it's in California somewhere.
Kirk gives us a captain's log wherein he describes a Gorn, large reptilian, and Kirk raced us a little bit here. He's like most humans, I seem to have an instinctive revulsion to reptiles.
Oh, yeah.
I have to fight all my racist urges and remember that this thing isn't a stupid lizard. It's a highly intelligent, sentient being.
Yeah.
This is the absolutely worst fighting sequence ever filmed.
Star Trek fight! I don't know why this episode is so classic. because everyone remembers the Gorn episode.
Of course.
But the Gorn was moving so fucking slow. He was in the growling and the hissing. I mean, it was like ridiculous. And I don't know why they made him move so slow.
They could have sped it up.
Yeah, they could have.
They could have sped it up.
But
either if the actor couldn't have moved because of the suit or whatever, like speed the film up, something.
It's ridiculous. So Kirk goes and he can run all over. He's running circles around the Gorn. But when the Gorn does get him, he's a lot stronger. So that he's got that going for him. And so Kirk goes and he takes the high ground and he goes and he picks up a little rock and he throws it. I think he hits the Gorn.
Bounces right off his chest like nothing.
But then Gorn is like, hold my beer. Gorn takes this big ass rock.
Huge rock.
And throws it up towards Kirk. It misses him, but still Kirk's like, oh shit.
Back on the Enterprise, Spock and Scotty are trying to get the engines going again, and nothing's working. And we get several intercuts back and forth to that same problem being reiterated over and over again, but nothing being done work towards the solution. Kirk takes a little cylindrical device from his hip and records a message to Starfleet. And one of the things he says is that the Gorn has withstood attacks that would have killed any human. Okay, hold up. You picked up a branch that was too short, so you had to throw it away. You two-fist karate chopped the Gorn's back.
Yeah.
And you threw a rock at it. Which of those things would have killed a human? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
But not only is he recording some audio, the Gorn is able to listen in too.
Yeah.
He's making a podcast.
But well, the Gorn has one. He's got one too. He's got one of those little things because the Metrons gave them both one.
So Kirk's talking about like needing to find or make some kind of weapon because he's not going to have a chance against the Gorn.
And I guess he's remembering something that the Metron said, but he's like, I don't see any weapons around here.
Kirk's running around the rocks looking for stuff. He picks up what looks like some broken bamboo and kind of swings it and it breaks. And he's like, that's not going to work. And then he picks up what like a root-looking, vine-looking thing, ultimately kind of throwing it away. And then, meanwhile, Captain Sleestack has some long rope-like root-looking thing or a vine, and he's rigging it up into some kind of trap.
So somebody's thinking.
Kirk finds some shiny rocks and, like a fucking idiot, talks into the translator recorder thing again. Just giving everything away. He's found some big gems, but nothing he can use as a weapon.
But meanwhile, the Gorn has made himself a nice, sharp,
shank.
Shank. Basically, they took a rock and he made a fucking shank. We're not, I guess we're not good at killing the humans aren't good at killing like we think we are.
Like we think we are. And the Gorn's growling and hissing just gets louder and louder. And Kirk spots a large boulder way up high on this little outcropping above where the Gorn is working. So he climbs way up on this outcropping and rolls the boulder over the edge. 1967, man.
Yeah.
The Shatner makes this huge overacted big show of pushing this boulder up, which is made out of foam
paper mache or something.
Yep. The effects in general in this episode, the boulder falling, that was great. That one looked great.
Yeah,
that looked wonderful. And the look on Captain Sleestack's face, his body language as he turns to see this thing, and he's like,
"Oh shit!"
Yeah, that was great. But then there's this dust or smoke or something that kind of billows up, and it billows up in front of Kirk, too, who's
at the top of
still up on the top of this outcropping. So that one pulled me away. Well, I guess you'd have to really be paying attention to it to notice it, though.
Okay, I need to pay more attention to it. But so Kirk thinks I've killed him. So he goes down the hill, I guess, to check. I don't know.
You got to poke it with a stick and make sure it's dead.
Yeah, or to celebrate. I don't know. But he gets the Gorn is getting up by then, and he's completely fine. So Kirk runs away, and of course he trips on this vine, which this vine is somehow entangled with a rock, a big boulder. And is this
that's the Gorn's trap?
Okay, so the Gorn is way smarter than Kirk is. So he trips on the trap and pulls the boulder on top of him, and so now he's trapped. The Gorn is closing in, and then he somehow gets out from under the rock and evades the Gorn.
Spock's on the Enterprise trying to call the Metrons on the phone, but they just keep letting it go to voicemail. Back on the planet, Kirk's talking into the recorder again. This is when he's like, I'm exhausted. This might be my last entry. And Captain Sleestack is still listening in. And Kirk's leaning up against a rock wall where there's a whole bunch of like bright yellow dust piles.
Yeah, which I think he says is sulfur.
Yeah, he says this is a mineralogist's dream. This is the same stuff that was on that guy on that planet with Unipuppy.
Mm-hmm. And he got burned or something.
Yeah.
And he had to be...
It's the yellow powder stuff.
It's sulfur.
Yeah, I don't know. And Kirk's like, there's something about sulfur.
If only I could remember it.
Isn't sulfur a basic ass element?
Yeah.
He talks about this like it's some old timey-wimey snake oil shit, but surely this is something he would have learned about at Starfleet Academy in science class, right?
And he's something he would give a cadet a hard time about not remembering himself.
For sure.
Shame on him.
Yeah. And he's got a really bad limp now, too.
Well, he was hit by a rock.
Yeah, squished. Another cutaway to Spock and McCoy on the bridge discussing their inability to do anything when Winamp starts going bonkers on the screen.
It really kicks the llama's ass.
The Metrons are like, your captain is losing. You should probably start preparing a memorial service or whatever it is that you people do.
Yeah. And he says, we're not without compassion because, he's about to die. So we're going to let you watch. Isn't that nice?
That's so nice.
So he turns on some Gorn TV. Like basically it puts it on the view screen of the planet so they can watch a little Gorn TV.
Yeah. So now they're watching Star Trek, the original series episode Arena on Gorn TV.
little Gornography. Got to have some Gornography.
Oh, God. Kirk's leaning up against another rock wall now, and it's covered with white powder. So he goes back for one of those diamonds and cuts himself a fat rail. Spock points out that this is probably potassium nitrate, but refuses to explain why that might be important. Kirk limps off across an open field, and we hear Captain Sleestack on the translator. It's like, Earthling. And now Kirk finally realizes that his device has been transmitting to the Gorn captain this entire time.
Did he? So it wasn't like a recorder to send out into the universe.
No.
It was a communication thing.
Yeah. Come on,
Kirk. I'm so disappointed.
But again, with the intelligence of the Sleestack, if I could hear you, then I would assume you could hear me. And so Sleestack kept his fucking mouth shut is what he did.
Right. Well,
so that Kirk would just keep telling him all the stuff that he was doing.
Kirk's a bonehead. What a bonehead.
Sleestack says he tires of the chase.
Right.
And offers Kirk a swift death. But finally they're talking.
Right.
To each other.
If they could have talked.
Which is what the Metrons should have done in the first place.
If they had the communication, they could have been talking shit to each other the whole time. But they eventually would have gotten.
You work your shit out.
Yeah. But no.
Kirk accuses Sleestack of destroying their outpost and killing helpless humans, and Sleestack counters that the outpost was built in their space.
Right.
So they were just defending themselves.
And then, of course, Spock is listening to this too. And he's like thinking, okay, what if we were in the wrong?
Yeah.
We made an outpost on someone else's territory.
Yeah.
Which is what you should consider when there's a conflict. Am I in the wrong?
Right. Kirk ends up back at that little patch of bamboo again, but this time he finds a short, wide stalk, and he's like, wait a minute.
Hang on.
35 minutes ago, I launched a mortar shell from a tube just like this one. Hey, maybe I could make one of those.
Exactly.
And I was just the right amount of high watching this episode that I thought to myself, that was the same episode?
I know, because
it seems completely unconnected to the Gorn story.
Yep. Spock already has it in his head, like what he needs to do. He needs to find some materials to make a bomb. You need potassium nitrate. You need sulfur. You need some hard projectiles and some other shit.
How did you feel about the structure of that as a storytelling vessel? Because I fucking hated it.
What
for the rest of this time, Spock talks us through everything that's happening, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was annoying. Like, trust the viewer to figure out and understand what's going on. Don't talk us through it like we're idiots.
Okay. In their defense, this is 1969.
Right.
We know now, like audiences are way smarter and up on this kind of stuff. But back then, I don't know. Maybe that was why they felt like they had to do it.
It was just a lot of like Spock saying, he's going to collect potassium nitrate and sulfur and coal because that can make an explosion. And now I'm going to explain to you, like, it's fucking Bill Nye the Science Guy out here telling us how to build a
bomb.
Like,
yeah,
how to make gunpowder.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Very like nowadays, like we can find it on the internet, but like back then, maybe this isn't something that comes into someone's household.
But as a viewer, seeing it happening in 1969 or whatever, like, or 87, what year are we in? 1967. You would see that and go, oh, he's making gunpowder.
Yeah.
I would expect.
Apparently not.
Maybe not.
They had to spoon feed it to the viewers, they felt like.
Kirk goes back to the pile of diamonds, and Spock has to explain to us now that Kirk's making gunpowder and intends to use the diamonds as projectiles. Mm-hmm. Again, show, don't tell. Captain Sleestack radios again, and he's like, you lost, old man. Let's just be done with this. And Kirk continues building his weapon as the Gorn approaches again. And there's a lot of tension building at this moment in this episode. Kirk manages to finally get a little scrap of fabric lit.
Yeah.
And it blasts his cannon at the Gorn, who's knocked onto his back and drops his shank. And Kirk picks up the shank.
And he's about to... I thought he was going to do it. I really thought he was going to do it. But
he gets all the way up to the edge and pulls himself out. And he realizes that the Gorn may have just been protecting themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe we were in the wrong. And Kirk tosses the shank away and starts speaking at the Metrons.
I'm not going to kill him.
Not going to do it. You're going to have to find your entertainment somewhere else. And he turns around and the Gorn disappears. And high up on a rock, a Metron appears. And
oh my goodness.
This guy looks like he's like albino white.
Yeah, like
or real pasty.
Yeah. My thought was like dressed like some kind of Roman.
Yes.
But then also some kind of angel.
Curly hair around like a crown around the head.
Then I also thought, I think that was a woman. But then they did the voiceover with a man.
Oh, I have to look that up.
Because it looked like a woman. But then the voice had a man. So because they're really good at doing voiceovers.
Right.
They have perfected that fucking thing. I'm so impressed with that show. And the voiceovers and lip sync is really good. Mm-hmm. So maybe I don't know. I have to go back and Google that.
The Kirk remarks that he looks like a little boy. But Metron says, look, I'm like 1,500 of your Earth years old. Don't fuck with me, son. I've seen shit.
I could be your daddy. Okay.
And Kirk has surprised the Metron, though, by demonstrating mercy against an enemy that would most certainly have killed Kirk. They weren't expecting this. And so perhaps there's hope for humanity after all.
Humanity is still half savage.
But you can't deny that you're still a dangerous, savage child race.
Most certainly I deny it.
So they'll be allowed to live. And continuing to show compassion, Kirk asks what happened to Captain Sleestack. And the Metron has sent him back to his ship, but he offers to destroy him for Kirk. And Kirk's like, no, no thanks.
And how can... Like, why do they consider themselves so evolved and so when they are just as bloodthirsty as humans?
Yes.
So they're not better morally. They just have more power. Well, how do they get to like take the moral high ground and dictate what everybody should do when they're actually no better?
They're willing to kill the Gorn on your behalf. You don't get to claim moral superiority.
No.
So the Metron's like, wow, there really is hope for you. Maybe in a few thousand years, you won't be savages and we can be besties. Don't call us, we'll call you. And then we never hear from this species ever, ever again, never, ever. The button on the episode, Kirk reappears on the bridge and Sulu's like, wait, none of the stars are where they should be. Somehow they were transported away from the Metron system. And Kirk orders a course back to Cestus 3. bet you forgot again that's what was going on this episode.
Yeah, because they got to pick up the 30 the people that they dropped off. Hopefully no Gorn.
Don't leave them there. Yeah.
Because if that's Gorn territory, then because they didn't know that, now they know it.
Why? Yes. Why wasn't there a conversation about like, oh shit, this is your space?
My bad,
real
dog.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We got some friends we're gonna go pick up real quick, and we'll get the hell out.
Yeah. Don't kill them. But yeah.
Spock's like, hey, so we were watching your live stream there, and our video cut out right after you shut off your cannon. I sure would like to know how
What
this
happened?
episode of Star Trek ends. And all Kirk says is, "We're a most promising species, Mr. Spock, as predators go. Do you know? Did you know that?" And Spock's like, "I've frequently had my doubts."
Oh my
Good
God.
old Spock.
Boy, I'm sure glad that's over with.
I'm happy the affair is over.
Me too.
A most annoying, emotional episode.
Yeah, but I learned something today.
When dreams become more important than reality, you give up travel, building, creating.
One jealous god, if all this makes a god.
By sparing your helpless enemy, who surely would have destroyed you, you demonstrated the advanced trait of mercy.
Frankly, I was rather dismayed by your use of the term half-breed. You must admit, it is an unsophisticated expression.
Oh, what are your themes for this episode?
Honestly, I don't know that I have any other than like this is an observation. We talked about it, and I don't know that it was the point of the show. But I think if they had been able to talk about it, they wouldn't have gotten stranded on a planet trying to kill each other. If they had somehow taken the time to try to talk to each other.
Right. There's two ways to tell the story, I guess, and that is, we take the high road to start with, or two, we go the wrong way and end up working out our differences in the end. Right. If the solution was that they should have just gotten together and talked. Right. Diplomatic solution. You either do that or you have to learn to do that. And so I think this episode went the second option.
Yeah. I mean, being a Starfleet captain, I would think they would always opt for diplomatic, but
they do that better when Picard's a captain.
Yeah, because Kirk is a hothead and he's and I don't care. I know he's typically fair, but he's all about vengeance. Like, you fuck with my people, I'm going to fuck with you.
Yep.
And I get it, but I also would prefer some diplomacy.
Yes.
First.
It's interesting that the audiences were perhaps seeing that differently when this show took the, we're making a Western in space approach. So we need the gunfights and the, OK Corral fist fights and whatever.
We need a clear enemy too.
Right. Where Next Gen was more about, let's try to find a better solution in all of these situations and not just do what feels right at, your gut emotional reaction. Like, no, let's stop and consider the alternatives.
Yep. I feel like Janeway, even being a woman, she was always her and Picard were really good at it. And I think most people would think, oh, as a woman, she's going to be emotional, blah, blah, blah. But she was very even keeled. She was a badass bitch.
Yes.
But she always tried to be diplomatic first. Always.
There's also this recurring idea of testing humanity. And we've talked about that before, and as TNG fans, of course, it's central to the theme that launched that whole series. So, while I have obvious issues with the setup to this whole thing, the Metrons claiming to be morally superior and charging humans and Gorns as both being savages, putting our hero in a position of kill or be killed, only to, in the end, show mercy and compassion and empathy for other sentient life. That's a Star Trek tale as old as time. And I enjoy these stories. It's a great way to say, yes, we are flawed as people, as a species.
But right down to the wire, we're not
there are
as
some
bad.
redeeming qualities. Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And that the redeeming qualities may one day lead us to overcome our failings.
But we're not there yet.
No,
it's basically
we're not there yet.
What they keep proving over and over and over and over again is we ain't there yet.
There's also a story being told about outsiders, people that can speak different languages than you and who look different, but at their core, like are very similar. In this case, the Gorns, like they were protecting themselves in their territory,
right?
Just like humans would,
right? Just because they happen to look like a reptile and you have an aversion to reptiles doesn't make them automatically evil.
Yeah.
Well, like, what would you have done if someone had come and what would Kirk have done if someone had come and set up a camp on their territory?
In their property, yeah. Yeah.
He probably would have started bombing too. I mean,
or worse.
So yeah.
Yeah. Anybody die in this episode?
No.
Oh,
yes.
Who died?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hurley. See, we forgot.
Oh, damn.
It seemed like 2 different episodes.
Oh, wait, were there 2? You're absolutely right. Hold on.
There 2 different episodes. Lang and O'Hurley.
And see, I'd forgotten all about them.
I know.
Because
with the way it started, this was the most disjointed episode.
It was.
Because the first part had like nothing to do with the second.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right. Well, yeah. And oh, God.
I was like, I know I wrote some rhymes. I wrote some bars for these guys.
All right, let's send him off.
It's dead, Jim.
We are assembled here today to pay final respects to our honored dead.
O'Hurley accompanied the landing party, the only one wearing a red shirt, damn it. Because of his wardrobe choice, he was never going to leave that planet. He was sent to scout out the cold-blooded being, but was hit with a weapon, and his last words were, "Captain, I see something." Lang wasn't wearing a red shirt, but he bit the dust too, as it were. Kelowitz came back without him and reported to Kirk, "They got Lang, sir." Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Some more UCs.
Goodbye, Lang and O'Hurley.
Let's get right to business.
Fine, I'm authorized to pay an equitable price. Federation has invested a great deal of money in our training. They're about due for a small return.
Listen, we pay off percentages. We're entitled to a little service for our money, huh?
Is this the way your citizens do business? Their right of petition?
They pay their percentages and the boss takes care of them.
Is there anything else?
Well, and we want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/humanistrek.
Thank you, patrons.
You guys are really keeping us going, and we sure appreciate it. Every dollar helps. If you want to be part of that family, go on over to patreon.com/humanistrek. As little as $3 a month gets you access into that little club, and we're going to be hopefully doing some Patreon-only things for y'all soon. Maybe some bloopers or something. We'll do something fun.
Definitely I want to do a recap of the cruise because I think that's got to be patron only. I don't want to bear everything to everyone. So that's going to have to be...
You got to pay for that privilege.
Yeah, you're going to have to pay for that.
And of course, if you're not able to do that, we still appreciate you for getting out there and spreading the good word, letting people know about the show. And you can do that by sharing out episodes, tell your friends how nerdy you are, and rate and review us wherever you listen to the show.
I assume you're loitering around here to learn what efficiency rating I plan to give your cadets.
Trainees, to the briefing room. Is that all you gotta say? What about my performance?
Aren't you dead?
I don't believe this was a fair test of my command abilities. There was no way to win.
There's no correct resolution. It's a test of character.
Now, what is that supposed to mean?
I am understandably curious.
May I ask you a question?
Who's been holding up the damn elevator?
Okay, so let's bring Becca back in for the exciting answer to last week's challenge. Last time on Humanist Trek, you asked us...
This episode establishes what the Enterprise's cruising speed is. What is it?
Okay, now I had notes on this, but I'm not sure I got it. Okay, so at a point, they are chasing the Gorn ship, right? And they're trying to gain on them and overtake them, right? So they go to warp 7, and everybody freaks the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like,
don't do it.
Not warp 7. The ship's gonna blow up.
Right.
If we can't maintain warp 7 for very long. So I think the standard cruising speed is warp 6. Would have to be.
Okay.
Because 7, and then they even go to 8, and the ship's like flying apart.
And then they go to Plaid.
All right, what's the answer?
I don't know.
Warp 6?
Yeah!
All right. Okay. Awesome. I did not know that. I was...
All right. Well, next week, then, we'll be reviewing Tomorrow is Yesterday. And I don't really remember a whole lot about this one. A time accident leaves the Enterprise a UFO over 20th century Earth.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
What's our question for Tomorrow is Yesterday?
Why could Kirk's assertion in this episode that there are only 12 ships like the Enterprise in the fleet be considered an error?
This is going to be another one I'm going to get wrong. All right, so let me think.
Okay, why could it be inaccurate?
12 ships like the Enterprise, or?
Yes.
So there's got somewhere then there's got to be like an error where they mentioned a different number. Like it contradicts a number that they've already said, and
maybe
I didn't
maybe there's
pay
only
attention
one
to.
like them.
Like how many? It's a Constitution class? I'm gonna be so mad. So like, are there 12 you said?
Mm-hmm.
Constitution class ships? Is that what they're talking about? I'm gonna say I think
there's only 12 like the Enterprise, I guess.
I think somewhere else in the show they mentioned a different number. That's my guess.
That sounds logical. It sounds logical. I don't know the answer to this one.
Okay, well, if you want to play along at home, no cheating, don't Google, go to your social media app and post your answer with the hashtag Starfleet Challenge. It doesn't have to be the right answer. It could be the funniest answer. We'll find somebody and pick a winner. Next time on Humanist Trek, Season 1, Episode 20, Tomorrow is Yesterday. So join us back next week for that exciting episode.
Live long and prosper.
Kapla.
Humanist Trek is available wherever you replicate your podcasts. Follow us on all the social medias at Humanist Trek. Become a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Trek. Open hailing frequencies to podcast@humanisttrek.com and visit our website, humanisttrek.com. Humanist Trek is a production of Sarah Austin Media.